Warning: the following episode provides images and details that may be disturbing to some viewers. History is full of stories of drugs and minerals that were once seen as safe are now considered rather dangerous. For example, one of the most famous scenes in the 1939 movie The Wizard of Oz is the poppy field scene, where the characters fall asleep and are awakened by snow casted by Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. Behind the scenes, they were actually using asbestos, a mineral known to cause cancer. Sorry to ruin your childhood. Another mineral on this list is radium and its connection to a gruesome tale. Welcome back to Tales of History, and today's video will be telling the story of the Radium Girls. Before we tell the story of the Radium Girls and their ensuing court battle, we'll need a little background context. In April 1917, the United States declared war on the German Empire, thus entering World War I on the side of the Allies. The American soldiers quickly ran into a few issues, mainly with their pocket watches. The old style timepiece that was once popular in the past was not suited for the conditions of the trenches. Not only were they prone to falling out of soldiers' pockets and breaking, but were also difficult to read at night. This led watch companies to manufacture the more effective wristwatch, but also added a new feature, luminescent paint, to make the numbers glow in the dark. The main ingredient, you guessed it, radium. Radium was first discovered in 1898 by Polish-born French scientist Marie Curie alongside her husband Pierre. Together, the couple would work with the element for many years, discovering that it had a lifespan of 1,600 years. Even after her husband's death in 1906, she still continued her work until eventually succumbing to radiation poisoning in 1934. In the early 1900s, American doctors and mostly business owners began to state that radium was a so-called miracle cure due to it helping defeat cancer cells, but spread the misconception that it can make everything better and even claimed it added a few years to one's life, and so began selling it in the form of different products: toothpaste, bottled water, skin cream, and of course, paint. The company United States Radium Corporation was founded in 1914, and by the time American troops made their way to the trenches, the company made a line of selling illuminated watches, with the dials being painted by young women. Ages ranged from early teens to mid-20s. It was thought that women's small hands would be more suitable for painting the dials, and being a dial painter at the time was considered an elite job for the poor working girls, and it gave women a sense of independence. They were told to lick the brushes to a sharp point, dip it back into the paint, and then paint the dial. This was known as lip dip paint, with the workers unknowingly ingesting small amounts of radium. This was not helped by the fact that the factory bosses were telling the women that it was perfectly safe and even healthy. The average dial painter was expected to paint 250 dials per day and were usually paid 1 cent per dial. By the mid 1920s, over 2,000 women were employed at different plants across the country. While painting the dials, the women would use the paint as nail polish and makeup so that they would glow, earning themselves the nickname the Ghost Girls. And you thought modern fashion trends were weird. But the fun times with radium wouldn't last forever. Soon the workers began to experience strange and even painful symptoms as a result of the element they were spending so much time handling and ingesting. Symptoms range from teeth falling out to jaw and muscle pain and even weakness. More serious symptoms such as bleeding ulcers where teeth had once been and large tumors began to grow around the jaw area. The girls' bones would also begin to grow more brittle and would instantly crumble as a result of the radium eating away at their skeletons. One woman's spine had completely collapsed, and another had part of her jaw removed while visiting the dentist, but no one could figure out what was going on, although some professional doctors began to suspect radium as the culprit. At least not everyone was crazy back then. The first dial painter to die was Molly Maggia, who began working at U.S. Radium in 1917, succumbing to a hemorrhage in 1922. She was 24, and others would soon follow. By 1927, over 50 young women had died as a result of radiation poisoning, although the true numbers are probably much higher. Although mysterious deaths and workers getting severely sick were occurring all over the United States, the events in Orange, New Jersey would become the most well known due to the ensuing court case that would follow. Desperate to keep their money, employers of American Radium sent doctors that they had hired to diagnose the girls with syphilis, an STD that was widespread throughout the 20s. This was not only an attempt to smear the women's reputations, but also as a way to make them stay quiet about the true dangers of radium. But several refused to go down without a fight. The Radium Girls, as they became known as in the newspapers, sued United States Radium in 1927, with the case being brought to court the next year. Raymond Berry was hired as the women's attorney. The case started out slowly due to two of the workers being bedridden and none of them being able to lift their hands to take their oaths, but soon began offering testimonies telling the court about the side effects as well as the true dangers associated with radium. Berry was quoted as saying, "When you have heard you are going to die, that there is not much hope, and every newspaper you pick up prints what really amounts to your obituary, there is nothing else." Throughout the proceedings, the United States Radium continued to deny any wrongdoings, but after a 3-year trial, the case was settled out of court, with each of the women being awarded $10,000 each. The case in Orange, New Jersey would inspire factory workers across the U.S. to speak out. Although no longer used in skin creams or homemade items, radium continued to be used in watches and clocks until the 1960s, and United States Radium ultimately closed down, with several of the buildings being torn down in 1998 as part of a Superfund remediation project. The story of the Radium Girls would not only spread the awareness of radium, but would also lead to the creation of laws that gave workers the opportunity to sue big corporations for work-related injuries. It is said that if you stand over the grave of a radium girl with a Geiger counter, it will click for more than 1,000 years. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe. See you all next time.